Benjamin Franklin said most people die at 25 and don't get buried until they're 75. But it wasn't always like this. Do you remember when you were 5 or 6 years old? You were alive, playful, and you believed in magic. You believed anything was possible. But before you finished the first grade even, things began to change. You began to learn to doubt the magic that you once believed in. You began to learn how much you didn't know about the world and how it worked. But you would learn. You would learn to see yourself as separate from others, separate from other races, other cultures, as well as the people with other values, not to mention nature. And you would learn to see yourself as separate from the feelings that you crave, the significance that you desire, and the meaning that you and every other human being on the planet craves. And to reinforce this trance, every year more than $150 billion is spent on advertising to remind you that you are not enough, to convince you that you are incomplete, and to condition you that the feelings, significance, and meaning that you crave can only be experienced by buying certain goods and services, many of them considered to be status symbols. And when the anxiety, stress, and fatigue of living in a material world get to be too much, we've been conditioned to reach for relief in the form of a pill or a drink. Today we spend more than $10 billion a year just on antidepressants. In the US alone, we spend over $90 billion a year on alcohol. And today, over 15 million Americans are dependent on alcohol, 500,000 of which are between the ages of 9 and 12. And as long as we haven't examined the values that we've bought into, and as long as we haven't examined our own lives and all the choices we make on a daily basis, we're less likely to question what's right, what's wrong, what's good for us, and what's not good for us. Not to mention how we spend our leisure time, what we do for fun. How often do we ask, is this the best use of my time? Is there something else I could be doing that could help me grow, help me understand more about the world, and help me live my life to the absolute fullest of my potential? How many times do we stop and ask ourselves, am I indirectly causing suffering and pain, even as a spectator? How often do we watch an event sold as entertainment and just not notice the suffering, the pain, and the lack of humanity just so we can be amused? Is it any wonder why we have so much violence in our society? In the last decade, military spending worldwide has been increasing dramatically. Globally now, we spend over 1.7 trillion, that's with a T, dollars. If we don't begin to evolve, if we don't begin to develop a kinder approach to solving our problems, it's just a matter of time before we will use these weapons to destroy each other and our planet. It may surprise you to learn that the common link to violence is rooted in our relationship with animals. Most of us just don't know about the suffering we cause the animals we share this planet with. We say, hey, let's have pizza for lunch, not thinking about the cruelty of the dairy business. We just don't know that in order for us to drink milk or use dairy products, cows must be kept pregnant most of their lives. And because male cows are considered less valuable to dairy farmers, they are either killed right after birth or sold off as veal only to be killed in 14 to 16 weeks. Albert Einstein said, a human being is a part of the whole, called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such achievement is in itself a part of the liberation and a foundation for inner security. Our planet has paid a terrible price for our ignorance and our collective ego. Even with all the awareness about climate change, we still cut down over 69,000 acres of rainforest every day so we can raise and kill more beef. NASA has confirmed that if our planet does not convert to a plant-based diet within the next few years, it may be too late to save our planet. And you may have noticed lately the bizarre changes in our weather. We've been warned about climate change since the early 80s, but because our local and federal governments elected to protect our society and our environment have done little to nothing to protect our planet, it's continued to get worse. Since 1980, we've lost more than 50% of our permanent Arctic sea ice. Peter Wadhams of Cambridge University recently predicted that the rest could be gone within as little as 4 years. In light of the overwhelming evidence that we need to legislate new clean energy sources, our governments continue to fast-track big oil to drill for more oil. Royal Dutch Shell has recently been given the green light to drill in the Arctic and has committed more than $4.5 billion to the region. We all want to live in a better world, a safer world, a cleaner world, and a kinder world. A change is coming that will realign our balance. A change is coming that says it's not okay to continue to kill our planet, to kill each other, and harm any and all living beings that simply want to live in peace. It's time for people to speak out, to stand up, and help create a better world. It's time for an evolution.